Welcome to the Climate Gap Quick Cuts, the podcast for busy people building climate solutions. We spotlight founders, builders, operators, and investors doing the hard work behind real progress. I'm Ben, co-founder of LMC. We connect climate tech companies with the people who make scale possible. Let's get into it. Too many smart buildings pilots stall for the same reason. Not because the tech fails, but because the support does. Whether that's underestimating what success looks like or trying to stretch a single hire across a 50 building portfolio, the result is the same: slow value, siloed insights, and expensive standstills. Today, I'm joined by Andy Schonberger, VP of Client Services at Intelligent Buildings, who's been on both sides as a trusted advisor and as an operator building managed programs at scale. He shares hard-won lessons on how to tell when a client's truly ready to scale, what investments actually extend team capacity, and why automation is useless if onboarding still runs on PowerPoint. Let's get into it. Andy, welcome. Great to have you here. Could you kick us off with a quick introduction to you and your background?
Yeah. Hi, Ben. Thanks for having me. Happy to. I'm Andy Schonberger. I'm the VP of Client Services at Intelligent Buildings. I'm an engineer by trade, mechanical, pretty happy with a torque wrench in my hand or a hammer, smacking things, playing with technology. It's kind of been my thing even from when I was little. Kind of knew playing with Lego, I was going to get into tech in one way, shape, or form. I went into the steel industry, to be honest, in manufacturing, and I hated it. So wanted to get the heck out, went back to school, got into commercial real estate, much cleaner. No steel dust in my nose and my nostrils at the end of the day. I just wanted a cleaner work environment. So I spent 4 years in facilities management, kind of playing with real estate technology. Went to Cisco Systems after realizing that I needed to learn and help the industry move further on connectivity of all these systems. And now I'm like 9 years at Intelligent Buildings, really trying to help building owners simplify technology decisions to get to business outcomes, and having a bunch of experience screwing things up with the technology myself, I get to tell a lot of stories. So thanks for giving me a chance to do that again.
Of course. Your stories are always full of nuggets of insight. So I'm looking forward to
usually where I screwed up, right? Yeah.
Okay. So in our industry, services range from DIY dashboards to fully managed programs.
Yep.
You've supported clients ranging from Fortune 500s to regional real estate investment trusts. How would someone determine the minimum support framework that still guarantees success?
Yeah, this is where we lean on 20 plus years of advisory services. And it's honestly, it's almost like every building. Everyone's different. Every organization's different. So it's a people and organizational thing. And because we've kind of been on both sides as a pure advisor trying to help them define KPIs and what does success look like, and don't just pick tech for tech's sake before diving in, build a plan to know what success looks like, then you can ramp up. We've also been on the other side and are currently on the other side as well, on the managed services side, where we're, implementing a service that is a combination of advisory and some tech tools and some toys for them to play with. So we see the stumbles and we see the successes on both sides. And usually we can tell that we're going to have success when there's good engagement, when they know what success looks like. We can even talk right up front about embedding, guarantees of performance in a pilot into scaling out for more assets. But the other side is, we're going to dabble. We're not really sure. We'll see. I don't know how this aligns with budget yet. And so you can kind of see some warning signs. But we generally start that very early in the process, just like we would with an advisory opportunity. We want to align particularly when it comes to our service level and thus pricing. So, there's always a press to do it cheaper. But at a certain point, if you don't have enough, in our case, hours or enough support or expertise applied, it's going to be a bit of a challenge. So we do have clients who just want to buy a tool. They don't want a service, and that's not typically who we approach, because we can see that as being a challenging place to find success. So usually for us, it's defining what do those customers want, what are the key performance indicators, what does success look like, and then when you can hit it, you're good to go. You can accelerate, you can scale up. Our typical client is a portfolio owner, not a single building, right? So always we're working and thinking about what does this look like times 10, 20, 50, 100, 500. Yeah, so it is really about defining success up front. And that can be challenged. Every client's different. Some of them, it's just pure cost and they're trying to check a box. And others are really strategic and trying to be innovative and knowing that it's got to scale. Otherwise, don't waste your time on a pilot.
I want to dive into that a little bit. What early stage indicator questions or client behaviors do you think reveal whether a customer will need concierge level service or just periodic check-ins?
Yeah, for us, it's all part of this kind of onboarding, we call it. And that starts from the business development process right through to this is running, and now we've either hit success or we've got some lessons learned that we've got to course correct on. So for us, it starts at the earliest stages of interaction with a client. We need to know what tools or services are they currently running? What processes do they use? Are they literally starting from scratch? Like we have one client, we're working on a 5-building pilot right now for managing the connectivity of the buildings out to the internet, and they have nothing right now. So success is this is managed and we actually know what's going on. We have other clients who are quite sophisticated, have existing tools, and it's all about, can you do this better, faster, cheaper? And so we got to match where they are on the journey to know if they're starting from scratch or they're migrating. Is it about cost or value or some new capability? We also really need to know, do they have power users who are really going to engage with us consistently, who are engaged, like someone who's got something they're incentivized for? Like, do they get a bonus if they prove that this is going to work? Do they have that as part of their performance metrics? So it's a people and process and organizational thing. And it usually starts really early. You can get signs that you're going to be successful in collaboration with someone on their side, or that you're going to have challenges.
Across the sector, there are lots of stories of pilots stalling due to underinvestment and support. I wonder, can you share an example where minimal service backfired on a project or one you know of, and what that taught you about the kind of the true cost of bare bones support?
Yeah, I mean, the true cost is for us is a service that doesn't succeed. It's putting time into something to try and get it across the line, to look at scaling and making sure that we can impact all of an owner's buildings, as we've proven, I think, time and time again. So, we've tried minimal service levels due to real pressure on price and us seeing how big a portfolio is, like a lot of other suppliers or vendors, service providers. So even though there's signs they might need additional service or support or expertise, that pressure is there. And if it just becomes about that cost up front, we know it's going to be challenging. So those are signs right away. And I think the cost is usually just an opportunity cost, right? I'll give you an example. We have one client that has a single building with us. They have a portfolio that's large enough that we're interested, and we know we can help them across some multifamily and commercial assets. And we've had a pilot stuck in, just call it deployment phase, for almost 2 years. And we can own part of that. I'm not saying that we're blameless. There's been some challenges on some of the technology aligning with some existing IT tools, but we've been stuck. And the team on their side's kind of been trying, but this is specific to real estate companies in our client base. This is an IT organization that really wants to impact the business, but they're seen as arm's length, and the business just sees them as a cost center. So they want to deploy this, but they can't get engagement with the rest of the organization. They're kind of held at arm's length. We can't add a penny to this because the business will just say, no, go away, IT, you're costing me too much again. So the true cost of this for both of us is productivity. We're kind of spinning, we're churning. So, with this client, we want to see success. We're kind of in for a penny, in for a pound. But at some point you've got to say, guys, this just isn't working. Like, it's not working for you. It's not working for us. But it can be tough when you've committed some, sweat equity to a project.
Yeah, for sure. That, I can imagine those sort of tough conversations have to be head on, right?
It's like you're dating. I like you. Yeah. You like me, but I don't know if there's really something here, and maybe we should both just move on.
If I think about some of the industry headcount constraints, what non-staff investments such as tooling, playbooks, or third-party partnerships have you seen most effectively extend a team's capacity while retaining a high-touch experience?
All of those. There, short answer. I'm done. No, I'm kidding. This is exactly what we've been trying to solve internally, because for 20 years we've been doing fixed price consulting engagements, and we also provide staff augmentation as a managed service right now. And just to give you an idea of where our business has gone, we've now got 14 tools that we use under the hood to power some of these services for efficiency, because long gone are the days where you can just pay a cybersecurity expert $350 an hour to solve some problems. The real estate industry right now is just so cost sensitive. You're not going to make any headway. So we've got to use tools to power our services to get clients to value, because the old traditional consulting model of, call one of the big consulting firms, spend, 6, 7 figures, and you're going to get great strategy. That's gone, from our perspective, or at least really significantly diminished. So we're integrating tools to make ourselves more efficient, so that an engagement with a client isn't one-to-one people. Like, I get one more engagement, I got to hire one more person. It's now we can spread them across because they're really focused, because the tools are helping them find answer quicker, or powering a service that we can then automate on the back end. So we're investing in some of these partnerships on some of the tools, on network management tools, or on asset inventory with an AI integration layer, and actually doing some software development ourselves. If you'd asked me if Intelligent Buildings was going to do that when I started with them a decade ago, I would have said, what? But we've had to, because that's where the market's gone. And so we're kind of drinking our own champagne. I like to say eating our own dog food, but I usually get criticized for that one. But we're doing some of the integration to try and reduce the barriers to our customers getting to success. So that means we've picked some tools that, 15 years ago, we would have said, here, let's write an RFP and go get a tool. Now we'll say, let's just use the money you would have spent in that procurement cycle and start doing it. We've already kind of baked a solution that embeds the tools, it embeds the processes. We've got playbooks established. Don't pay us in the traditional kind of consulting model for a playbook. We got this built, let's do it instead. So instead of spending 6 figures on some big master strategy, how about we apply that to 15, 20 buildings and show you success, and cut some costs, and fix some processes, reduce some risk, enable some better integration. So we have been doing this on everything you just mentioned, because it's the only way to hit success. You got to keep up with, the pace of all these tools that are out there. And our motto is to simplify this for customers. So this is how we're doing it.
If the smart building space could automate one support task tomorrow without losing any of its human insight, whether triage, onboarding, or troubleshooting, which would you pick, and why?
Yeah, I think I'm not going to pick one, as you can imagine by most of my answers so far. I got to pick two. For us, it's some of the education when we're onboarding. Like, we find a client who is generally aligned, likes the outcomes that we're proposing, if it's risk reduction, or if it's efficiencies, or cost cutting, or energy management, or whatever smart building outcome that they're concerned with. We usually have to spend a bunch of time kind of educating them on the state of the market, other tools that are out there, why we do this as a service. So we're working at automating some of that, but also doing it in engaging ways. So using video content, using customized microsite landing pages. Like, so we're really trying to advance that process, instead of being the traditional consultant. Like, here, I've got a PowerPoint deck that's 37 slides long. And so that just slows the whole process down. So one, we're really trying to automate a bunch of that and make our onboarding, and thus time to value to a client, way, way faster. So we know we can get much more efficient there. And we know there's some really cool tools out there that we're looking at on some of the video creation. I'm a little freaked out when someone tells me there's an AI tool that they can make it look like me, and all I have to do is input the script. I'm like, it's not as funny. There's no way it's as funny, and it doesn't have the dad jokes that I do. So I'm skeptical there, but we're doing some evaluation there to make things more efficient. And the other one is, when we're actually getting into integration in a client's buildings, there's still a bunch of manual processes to map data, to point, this API to that, to this input on our system, to get that stuff done. There are some tools out there that automate it, but there's still exceptions to every rule, or there's some systems it doesn't work with, and you spend more time trying to deal with the AI's outputs than you do if you just did it manually the first time. So that is still a bottleneck for us. So we know that there's more investment and there's more automation we can do there, again, to get to value faster, and thus not need to charge as much, or not need to invest as much sweat equity to get a customer to value quicker. So those two things, the education and that kind of data mapping. Look, I'm not a system integrator. Our team knows this a lot better than I do. So I know there's a lot of industry experts out there who'll point me to 5 different tools to do this right now. We're just trying to find a way that's actually cost effective and replicable, when you have 20 different BMSs and some of them are proprietary language, and this network doesn't work, or they won't allow that tool, or it's messy. It's always messy.
Yeah. I as I'm learning more and sinking in deeper, there's just that common denominator where, how do we integrate this tool and this system, and how do we really make use of automation in the way that the tools can allow. And so yeah, it's always an interesting conversation to hear and unpick other people's views and use cases, some good, some bad. But yeah, thank you very much for your insights, Andy. You're always to the point, and I really appreciate the kind of perspective that you've given us and. Listeners that are in similar situations, I'm sure could pick your brains separately about some of your approaches. So it's been fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Ben. Happy to, anybody listening wants to reach out, please just hit us up, intelligentbuildings.com. This is what we do for a living. We're excited about it. Hopefully that shines through in our conversation here. But yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate the time.
No problem. So what did we learn? Well, one, pilots don't fail from bad tech. They fail from vague goals and shallow support. If you don't define success up front, you'll end up spinning wheels and budgets. 2, tools alone won't save you. Without the right people, processes, and incentives behind them, even great software stalls. 3, don't buy 6 figures of strategy when you can apply it to 15 buildings and learn faster. The future's in ready-built playbooks, efficient integrations, and partners who know when to say this won't scale. Big thanks to Andy for pulling back the curtain. This is Quick Cuts, short episodes, sharp insights, no filler. Catch you next time. You've been listening to the Climate Gap Quick Cuts. If you're building in climate tech, subscribe to hear more from the people making it happen.